it's ChrisAnn from Elemental Energies with ChrisAnn and Jeff. And if you follow me on Facebook, you saw I made some really fun decorative paper that I then turned into signs that I used all over the shop. This black that I used in the back is all recycled paper. So I stamped on them, colored them obviously with this technique that I'm going to show you. I stamped on them and then I decorated them with gel pens. I die cut them with this particular die cut die that has a whole bunch of die cuts with it, and I used my Gemini die cutting machine. I did all different sizes and shapes and stamps and all different fun things. I created little signs for around the shop, and then I made these little holders using some clay that I had, some polymer clay. Some of it was leftover polymer clay, some of it wasn't, and then they're just little stands that hold my signs. So let's get started on how do you decorate this. First of all, it's important that you use the right materials. We are going to be using distress oxides. Very, very different than distress inks. These are some great products by Ranger and Tim Holtz. Don't want distress ink. You want distress oxide because it's a hybrid ink. So I am using some distress oxides. I am also using mixed media paper. I have used watercolor paper in the past, but we are going to be using some mixed media paper for this technique. And I like the way it stands up. I like the tooth of the paper. It works great. So this is what we're going to do. This is my reading desk. This is what I do readings on in my office. This is travertine. So you can use glass, you can use a stamping platforms, you can use whatever the heck it is that you want to use. So we're using distress oxide in Blueprint Sketch, and this is all you do. You go like that. I know, it's scary, but it's cool. Next distress oxide is carved pumpkin. I'm pushing, and I'm giving it a little bit of a wiggle. Next distress oxide is wilted violet. Doesn't matter where I put it, you'll see. Distress oxide, broken china. I love that color. And then we are going to be using squeezed lemonade. Yet again, distress oxide. So I've got all these squiggles all over my table. What do I do next? I take my distress sprayer by Tim Holtz as well, and Ranger. And I like the way this sprays. So that's why I bought this. So I'm spritzing it. I am getting it wet, liberally. I take my paper, I rub it in it. I tap it in it, I lift it up, I move it around, I tap it. Doesn't it look beautiful? So I'm trying to get all my spots on my paper, in theory, covered. Let's see what we got. Ooh, how cool is that? A couple more spots I want to get covered. It's really not imperative that you get every single spot covered. Next thing you're going to need is a heat gun. I am using the heat gun that I've had for embossing. Yes, it makes a lot of noise. The deal is you want to get this dry. Don't hold this in one spot because you will burn your paper. And if you find that there's too much water on your paper, take a paper towel and go in and dab it off. The trick is you need this paper dry. So I know it's a little hard to hear me over this. So this is still wet underneath. I can come back in and I can layer this. So look, I've got some great layers. Dry this. You dry between each and every time that you're doing this. And because this is the older embossing heating gun, I am keeping it moving. And this tip is extremely hot, so just be mindful of that. Okay, so there's part one. Now let's clean up. Paper towel, wipe it, that's it. You know what? I want to add some more funky colors. So I'm going to add more of the wilted violet. I'm going to add more of the carved pumpkin. And then I'm going to come in with my shocker at the end, which is worn lipstick. The way these sit on top of each other, these colors, it's really cool and it's really amazing. And this is not something that was around for stampers or for ink artists or multimedia artists, even the last 10 years. So this is really very cool. So now look, there. I have some great colors that are laying on top. Now this is going to come out different every single time, which is what I love about this. And see how cool it is when it dries? It's really, really neat when it dries. I love that. I think it's neat, but I want just a little bit more yellow. So let me clean this up. I could, in theory, keep using the ink that's here. It can just keep being used. So I want a little more of the squeezed lemonade. I just want little pops of yellow. There. Some more pops of yellow. So there, let's dry this. Now it looks a little different when it's dry, and it has a little bit of a texture to it as well. Super quick, super easy. And I think it's really pretty. And it makes for really, really unique little signs because I label everything in the shop. All the crystals that we have, all the different products that we have, all the different, I like to put signs with the tarot cards. I like to put signs with the jewelry that I've created. This is how I make the paper. So this is the one that I showed in the very beginning. These are the exact same colors that I used. See how you can get really cool different variations. And in actuality, I would dry this one a little bit more. I just didn't want to bombard you with that sound. But I would dry this one a little bit more. And just be mindful that you don't burn right through the paper because I have done that in the past if I leave my heat gun in one spot. So if you don't have a table like mine that's natural stone, use a piece of glass. Use an old large mirror or a large frame piece. You need your ink to flow on the surface, and you need to use distress oxides, not the other one, which is the distress inks. Very, very, very different. Don't use this one. Use this one. So I hope that gives you guys some ideas. Come back to this page. Give this page a like and a thumbs up, but also check out the Facebook page, Elemental Energies with ChrisAnn and Jeff, because I always post kind of cool things on that page too. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Be free.